Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order at 6:04 PM.
No, go ahead.
So, let's do roll call.
I guess I still have to do roll call. Okay, committee member Horton.
Present.
Committee member Zolotowski.
Yes.
Committee member Mark.
Yep.
Chair Dennis.
Yes.
We don't have committee member Highsmith right now or Cone tonight.
Okay. Great. I'm going backwards a little bit. There are no requests for committee members to attend remotely under emergency order, other than we have Ingrid, who, I guess that's not an emergency. Hi, Ingrid.
Good evening.
Somewhere.
She's
The Charles River.
in DC.
Yes. So, let's get an approval of the agenda.
Yeah.
You got it
Motion.
first?
First.
Second.
Okay, all in
I'm sorry, who
favor?
was that? Who was the second?
Carol.
Carol. Thank you.
Yes. All right, thank you. There's no members from the public online, right?
No.
No.
Great.
This is it for us. We don't have Kita here.
Yeah. At least not at this.
No, Maria's not going to be here. Okay.
Okay, so let's move on to approval of the IDEA committee meeting minutes from
Oh.
April 16th.
Through the chair, I just have one amendment. The
Mhm.
last the staff announcement should say it's Marcia that's not able to come to the meeting, not Maria.
Yeah.
So
Marsha, yeah.
I need the minutes
Oh.
amended.
Oh, Marcia. I say not Maria. I'm sorry. So wrong person.
Approved as amended.
Yes, okay. Thank you.
Who would like to make the motion?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Finally, old business. Selection of.
Almost got there.
Okay.
But first, I want to know, Anna, how's your job?
I still have it. That's all I
That's
can
good.
say. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a week to week thing, but I'm still there.
Yeah,
right now.
I have a friend's partner who works, I'm gonna say for the FAA, something with the flying stuff,
Mhm.
and they wanted everybody to quit. And he had been there a long time, he finally did, took a 6-month package, and because of some wrinkle, he's allowed to reapply, but to another department. I mean, it's
Yeah, there's all kind of
yeah,
crazy.
It's really
and
crazy.
It changes from week to week.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yes, I'm still here. Thank you for asking this week. So any nominations for chair? I have one.
Think she should go on. I think she deserves a lift up.
I mean, can you do it again?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I think you'd be
Don't
perfect.
think there's
But
anything in the bylaws that say can. Is there, Ingrid?
No, people can become chair again, of course.
Woohoo. Well,
Well, I do have a lot of time on my
but I'm gonna second that.
So Maria made the motion.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
sorry,
And
I'm still
then,
learning the language, so bear with me.
Anna
Yeah.
seconded.
Yeah.
You had to say all in favor.
Oh,
so-
well, look, all in favor? It is.
All in favor?
Any opposed?
Yeah.
No names. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, any nominations for vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Carol.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
She's
let's go
accepting.
for it. Let's go for it. Are you second?
Yes.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
Let's go for it in a second.
Yeah.
Now, I want to know why you have all this time. You didn't lose your job.
I did lose my job.
At Genentech?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
You missed a lot.
While you were looking for your keys, we
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
Any opposed? Perfect. There we got it.
Perfect.
So here you go.
Okay, here we go. All right, thanks. Okay, so let's move on to the work plan. All right, so starting with the mission statement, staff report.
Sure.
Please.
So in your packets, you have the first of a few staff reports. This one is, it came about, I think, pretty organically over the last couple of months. We've been talking about just a reset of the committee, and our city manager came and presented last month on different ideas for the committee's work and work plan. And there was at that meeting in May just the desire to kind of like have a retooling of our mission statement, or have a mission statement, first of all, and maybe an expanded purpose. And so we have worked through just the definitions of idea, because we are now in our third year of an existence as a city council appointed body of Brisbane residents, with membership also open to those who work in town. And so tonight before you is a draft statement that incorporates the various definitions of inclusion, diversity, equity, and accountability, taken from just our work when we started the committee, using the trusty sources of the tools around us, such as artificial intelligence. We have a draft here, and I can put it up onto the screen. Maria has been really helpful in just helping to like bounce ideas off us, and she does a lot of this work in her day-to-day. And so she helped to also retool a little bit of the words. And so we can look at it together. Let me just share my screen. Hello. So this was a last iteration. I think, Maria, do you want to share what has changed since what was put forth in the staff report, which is, you want to read it? It was.
Yeah, so what changed since what we changed is we wanted to add the word engagement. And so basically the first part is the same. The city of Brisbane's ideal community fosters a community where everyone is welcomed, valued, and empowered. By honoring the diverse voices that shape our city, we're building a Brisbane rooted in respect and growing in connection, where belonging isn't just a whole, but a shared responsibility. So this last part has been changed yesterday. We engage with courage and care to create brave spaces for vulnerability, with safety, empathy, and dignity at the core. And then the purpose: to grow a city where connection is cultivated, engagement is intentional, dignity is non-negotiable, and Brisbane truly belongs to everyone. All voices, one Brisbane.
Wow.
So I would like to say that this is beautiful. However, this is the however part. I think it's written on a level that's not necessarily reachable is the word, the only word that comes to my mind, to a lot of people. I think it's at a particular intellectual level that I don't think is as approachable to a lot of people. For example, what does it, people will say, well, what does connection cultivated mean? I'm not saying I don't, but there are a lot of people that would not. Engagement is intentional. People will not know what that means. dignity is non-negotiable. They won't know what that means. I mean, I
But that assumes. Yeah, thanks for sharing, but that would also assume that we believe our city folks are not intelligent.
no, I'm not saying that. I think that the use of language at a particular level, like when I write documents, they're often written, frankly, at a fourth grade level. It does not assume that people are not intelligent by any means.
Mhm.
It's the use of language that is familiar to people so that they don't have to think about what the syntax is and what the symbolism is. So I don't disagree with the sentiment here. I just think that this is written in a level that's not approachable.
I don't know. What do you folks think?
Well, I like it. I think that, you're never going to be able to please everyone. I think that we have pivoted and changed it from, idea, per se. And, I think if you change this half a dozen times, you're never going to be able to appeal to everyone and and how it lands personally with them.
Why can't we write something that is personal? Why does it have to be intellectual? And this is intellectual. This is written as if you would write a regulatory document. And I do that.
Mhm.
I'm not an attorney, but I do attorneys type stuff.
Mhm.
So I think it's that way. Like if you said you're going to give this to the FDA, I said, yeah, sure, it's perfect.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't give it to my mother. There's nothing wrong with my mother. Believe me.
Yeah.
But she has a high school education and came from a different world, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we could do better and find something that carries these sentiments, but makes it that resonates more for the common folk, independent of what their ethnic background is or what their education is. That's what I think. Yeah. It has nothing to do with smarts, believe me. My mother had a high school education. My father didn't even have that.
So coming in late, sorry, I had a long day at work. I agree with Carol in the sense that is this written in a literacy that the average person in the US in Brisbane could understand? So I do think if it hasn't been put through a literacy lens, we should look at that. The thing that is, I mean, I like the belonging, but that isn't just a hope. I mean, I don't know. That seems weird.
I actually put it through AI.
Good.
With a lens of like, let's make it more active instead of passive. Because I think when I was reading it, the first thing that just stuck with me was like fosters a community. Like, what does fosters mean? And so maybe just thinking like actively creating something. And so really putting it upon this committee to what is our charge instead of sort of like, what do we hope will happen versus like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Well, you could say something simple, like works to develop. Simple words that are not downplaying someone that I think anybody on the street, regardless of even their background, would be able to understand. And I'm not anti-AI or anything like that. I just think we could phrase it so it would be less, I'll just say forbidding. Some of this is pretty, I don't know, I think it's high level. I think it's a little too high level for the community, frankly.
Can you put it through a literacy lens or
Yeah.
something right now?
I hear what you're saying, and I guess maybe I need to like acquaint myself, like I'm coming at it from a lens of a certain level. It feels approachable to me, but if there are ways that we should let's try to reframe it so that when other people read it, they feel or they understand what we're trying to say.
What about the purpose? Is that kind of something that could be more like a mission statement that is a little bit more relatable to folks? You feel?
Well, I don't know what the word to grow a city means. Like if you said to me, Carol, what does that mean? What does to grow a city mean? I'm not sure I would know, to be honest. So what are we
Mhm.
growing? I mean, you know, I'm
Yeah.
not making fun. I
I
don't mean to
know.
make fun because, you know, I care about this, but, um,
Make your contributions.
you know,
Your
we could support a city. I mean, we could use
Mm,
words that are in some ways simple, but have no sort of jargon associated with them. I
mhm.
think that's all.
Well,
I'm
I
not
think
saying all
give
the
us
negative
give us
stuff.
an alternative. You know, give us something to
Well,
compare it to.
maybe we
Because
could say to support a city.
no, but I mean, like, write something out in the vision that you see it being. Because to me, like, who doesn't understand, values and diversity and now maybe we could change our hope, but who doesn't
But I
understand
did that already.
vulnerability and empathy and dignity?
Well, I did that already. I was the one that did the template. If you looked at that, now it's not exactly like this,
Yeah.
but it's been, part of the challenge because we've been moving around in different places is there hasn't been a focused effort on who is doing what to whom.
Mhm.
And so I don't know, I have been doing this.
I think the first sentence in the mission is good. Like the City of Brisbane Idea Committee fosters a community where everyone is welcome, valued, and empowered. I mean, empowered, I don't know if it's the right word, but the rest of it, I like the first sentence. I feel like, do we need all the rest of that?
Yeah, keep it
I
simple.
think keep it
I
simple.
think that's a really good point.
Mhm.
You know, people don't, people just don't read a lot. This is a day of text, they
Yep.
just don't do it. And it's not just the kids, it's everybody, myself, just raise my own hand.
I have a question. When we think about these things, unless I come and work in your company or I
Mhm.
might be interested in the mission statement, does anyone really cares in a way on one level? So we can, I could be wrong, but what I'm saying is, isn't this more a reflection of what we want it to be? And this is the chance to aspire to dream a better world and to be advocates for a better world versus I don't know, however much we want to bleach it down. And it's not doesn't have to be like this, but I'm just asking for my own understanding. Does the city really care? Our citizens, are they going to be concerned about the mission statement, or are they going to be more interested in, do we see any actions that, because what I feel like for me is to say something that has a feeling, not something that's necessarily it's all achievable tomorrow, but an aspiration towards, can we be better citizens together? Now, I don't know, am I missing anything? Just help me
I do
understand
feel
that.
like a mission is good for the team that's working on the work,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
important. Like what are we striving for?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I would
yeah,
add
yeah.
I actually think I would keep it simple. I do think maybe instead of empowered, respected, because people want to be respected. I want the police to respect me. I want the city officials to be, respected by here in Brisbane. And so I mean that, a lot of people we want to be welcome. We want this place to be, people say hi to you when you're
Yeah.
doing your, I mean, and people do say hi. I do it every day and everybody is saying hi, hello, how you doing? And like want to be valued and respected. So I mean, I would, to Carol's point, people are not reading. We've done a lot of work in Genentech. The Americans are 21%, 1 in 5 cannot read or write past a third grade level. When you go to sixth grade level, it's over 50% cannot read or write past a sixth grade level. So we do have to be mindful that 50% of the people in Brisbane most likely cannot read or write over a sixth grade level. So we want something that people can understand and see and say, I see myself in this as well.
Okay.
And the pandemic caused it to get worse,
Mm.
right? Because, the people who were getting left behind got further behind. And And the reality is people don't read books. And when you were reading books, you had a deeper understanding of stuff. But now, I mean, I can't even name the last time me personally read a book, and I was going to try to do one on the beach, and I ended up looking at my phone.
I guess what I'm thinking too is like, is the mission for us or for them?
That's my point.
Because if it's for, is it like what we are aspiring for or what we're putting out? And is there a difference in what we in this room say is like what we're trying to do versus what
My
we
vision was to use this mission statement and bring it up to the front of what my, if
so
it were
more
up
like
to
a
me,
motto?
I would, first of all, go on the website for however many people look at that. And then I think the city council ought to be given this and said, do you believe in this? You know, you can phrase it however language you want to and say, what do you think? How visible do you want this? So yes, I agree that it's something for the team to have as a boundary. Everybody has to have boundaries, but I also think it's something that we should present to the council and ask them, what do you think? Is it something, because we're not a decision-making body, no matter what we say in this room.
I thought it could be like on our future work plan.
Yeah.
too, that will go to the council so they can be
Yes,
reminded
let's
of
see
it.
what they say. You know, do they want it to be visible? Do they not want it to be visible? If they don't want it to care, they don't want it to be that visible because this is politically sensitive times, then it could be on the website, you know, which is, although the website is technically visible. Again, I don't know how many people look at it on I'll say weekly basis.
The words are, I guess, considered safe though. If there's
That's
that was what we were just trying to make
That's-
sure of,
yeah.
so that it could be just anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah. And then if it's going to be a lot of places, the shorter it is, the better. People will know what it is, what it means. Like, I want to be able to be like, you know, can be recited, but if you got all that other stuff by honoring diverse voices, shape the city, building Brisbane, blah, blah, blah. Like just get to the point. The city of Brisbane's idea committee fosters a community where everyone is welcome, valued, and respected.
Right. There could be a difference between mission, vision, and principles.
And that could be the principles by honoring diverse voices to shape our city. That could be one principle that we will think about. I don't like hope, to be honest. I just feel like I don't know what that means. But I like shared responsibility.
I like that too. Kind of puts the onus on everyone.
Everybody, we all have a shared responsibility to be welcoming, to value our neighbors, to be respectful.
Okay. So those are the principles,
Yeah, they can be the principles.
and take out where belonging is a shared responsibility.
We like that
No,
part.
I like belonging as a
We
shared
just don't know about
I'm
hope.
sorry, I'm sorry, just keep it as where belonging is a shared responsibility and take out isn't just a hope.
Oh,
Yes, yeah, well, belonging is a shared responsibility.
okay.
Are we gonna engage with courage? Are we gonna engage with courage? I think part of this is to engage with care. Care is nice. Are we gonna engage with care?
Why not?
I don't just say things like, we intend to create spaces, etc. Why do we have to have those other words in there? I think I would put those words in there.
English has an active intent, has it's a wishful thinking, engaging
More action oriented.
Yeah.
But are we courageous?
Well, we never know. Are we gonna show that we have courage?
Is this too nebulous? Brave spaces.
Courage is strong, care is soft. And
Care is
sometimes
something.
they both have a place, no?
I,
Doesn't have to be.
I don't, I've been on this committee a couple of months and I haven't seen courage, to be honest.
Maybe we need some.
Well, but I think once we get the mission down, then we will know what we're gonna be striving for.
Oopsies.
And
I
we're being
don't
honest, you might
understand
not
what it
see
means to
courage.
create
If you-
brave spaces for vulnerability. Can somebody explain to me what that means?
Caroline,
Mm, So brave spaces is like you kind of hear the term like a safe space.
psychological safety.
Yeah, but brave is like you can show up as like your full self and not have like any feelings that you're going to be judged or
But do you
seen
think that that
differently.
really happens in Brisbane or anywhere else for that matter?
Do we
I
want to
I
do
think
that?
that was the goal of like when I think about the short film festival, like creating a space where people could watch those films and like come
Mhm.
up with their like authentically of themselves and not be afraid to ask the question of like what does that mean? Why are
Yeah.
we what is the importance of this? And so not only to be because I actually see it not only being brave of like I feel brave to be myself, but to for those who might be not as far along on the journey, to welcome them in and to allow them to be brave enough to say, why is this important?
It's actually showing courage.
Thank you. I would like to say it, but you picked it up. Yeah, that's what I feel. Courage always there's always room for courage in kind of place. This is not the push aggressive thing. It's the courage to be brave. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's definitely easier to not do anything or not have the opportunity for people to show up and feel vulnerable to share.
How about if you just put we engage with courage and care to create brave spaces with safety, empathy, and dignity at the core.
Think out vulnerability.
Yeah, just say with safety.
Ooh, it fits on one row. That's nice.
Right?
Okay. Do we have any other principles? Is this another principle to grow? Is that to grow a city, to support a city? Um,
Is it be to be a city
mm,
where connection is cultivated, engagement is
Mhm.
intentional, dignity?
Yeah.
Will become
Yeah. Become. Yeah.
oh, so we're admitting it's not here yet. Okay. Mhm.
Feel- I feel like there is a good community here. I do. Um, is it become or just be? I think be.
Could be.
Well, wasn't it then be to maintain, but then be to grow? Because do you think that everyone in the city feels that way?
That to be our in city.
That we're there? Because
I don't know.
because part of me feels like, oh well, if we're there, then why does this committee exist?
Right. That's good point.
But that's why then
To
we're back to grow.
continue.
Right. To grow. The grow is like a weird term.
Yeah.
what else could be used for
Mm.
grow?
Yeah.
You mean,
To
Develop.
sustain.
no, to
Develop.
sustain.
Advance, cultivate, strengthen.
Advance.
Mhm.
Advance. To advance a city though.
Um, how about to be a city where connection is continually cultivated, so it's kind of more movement forward. I like to
Okay.
be.
Power.
Flourish.
They're all just like,
What do you think of continually? So it kind of keeps it like it's not like we've achieved anything, but we're moving forward.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, can.
Hybrid summers.
Another word for
Like the work is not done. We're continuing. We're so let's sit on our laurels.
Nurture, simply.
Nurture. It goes with care.
What do you think?
I like that.
Nurture.
It's sort of like what it, because again, it's like, what is the role of this committee?
Yeah,
Is not to like be
but
the
to
city,
nurture.
but to like, yeah.
to nurture city.
Nurture. Yeah, anything you are.
Can I?
And you are.
Yeah. Thank you.
Neuter.
Yeah.
I was looking quickly and I didn't see it quickly.
But do we need continually now that we got nurture?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Nice touching later.
I like that intentional.
I don't understand. Please explain the engagement of this intentional needs. I just don't understand what it means.
We could easily be mean to one another and have no intention about, oh, hang on a minute. I work with you all, therefore there is an intention in the way I engage, in the way I show up. And maybe that's kind of applies to everything we do in the community. It's a little bit of maybe responsibility. And if we have it as a guiding principle, then it makes us a little bit more conscious when we just, go out in the world and say things or do things or whatever that is. Because it's very easy for all of us to, lose it or.
Yeah, and I think also like bringing it back to what is this committee's remit is
Yeah.
like doing the Diwali events or doing the AAPI event, like right, that we are creating opportunities for community engagement. And I think this, when I'm reading this, I see opportunities for both the events subcommittee and the policy subcommittee, where the engagement is how are we engaging the community, creating those opportunities. And that we're not saying, this is who I am, these are my friends, I'm going to go to the concert in the park and I'm only going to hang out with people that I know. And instead, I'm going to, with this committee, create an event and invest people in.
I hear what you're saying and I understand what you're saying. But if you just read that, I don't know if anybody would know engagement is intentional.
Well, we're planting.
I like what you said about show up.
We are planting possibilities. We're putting shoots of possibility for something.
Why don't you look at me?
Show up.
Question.
I like it when you said show up.
Why don't you write it like that instead of engagement is intentional? Because I don't know, and I'm not a dummy, I don't know what that means. I know what you're saying means, and I know what you're saying means.
Yeah.
But that language, engagement is intentional, doesn't resonate as a meaning that someone can say, oh, okay, that's what Brisbane wants.
We show up to support
Well,
the diverse.
And I think
groups.
nurture a city could potentially be nurture a community.
Okay, yep. We like the word community.
So what if it was,
you could really change this by saying you like the words respect. You can say we're a respectful connection if you like that word.
It's in the mission, so.
Well, it doesn't matter mean that you can put it down here. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make it. There's no point in writing something that doesn't mean something.
To me, it was It's about creating, bringing warmth, bringing
I don't
conscious
think it does
engagement.
that. I respectfully disagree.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things. Exactly. Dignity is non-negotiable, and everyone's opinion matters. So I understand you, but that's what I'm feeling, and that's what I'm reading. And when someone reads something like this, wants eventually to be inspired to see a little bit more than what it is, to just dream a tiny bit bigger, a glimpse of hope for a world that can be better. It might not be all like what it is right now. Do we want to change anything, or we just want to keep it cold rocks and just pretend we're here to, I don't know, tick the box? Or do we dream a better world? That's how I see it. Now I understand. I understand we all see it differently, but that's what I thought,
Yeah.
and that's what I would see these type of things. Because no one, at the end of the day, this is for a guiding book for us. How are we going to conduct ourselves?
But it does need to be in plain language. Like that is clear.
How do we rewrite that phrase?
Mm. Okay, so you don't want to repeat the word. So why don't you say something like to support a community? I'll change it. I'll write it right now. To support a community where connection. I want to see, what do we mean by connection? Let's change it completely to say to support a community where dignity, and we could use the words that we like respect and dignity, and encouragement are vital. I don't know. We can even use the word benchmark, but that's incorporated.
Yeah. I like that, like maybe show up authentically. Like, we want people to bring their, dog with them if they want to come to the park and walk around the community, say hello to people.
We can say where people can be who they are.
Yeah.
If we believe that the people that live here are of a certain metric, we can say that we nurture a community where people can be who they are, and that there's room for all, I want to say demonstrations, but
Well, there's room for all voices, one big bang, right? Like again,
Yeah.
I like shortened stuff, but I do like nurture.
you like nurture?
I do like nurture because I feel like that's what we want to do is, I think all the things that they do in the park, and they have the fruit, the vegetable thing, and just, like bringing the community together.
Why don't we just leave it as simple? We nurture a community where people can respectfully be, if you like the word. I think we can't say that enough.
Maybe we can all take some time offline to
Yeah, so you gotta send this back to us.
and and I think respectfully, it's 6:45 and we're on the agenda.
I know. I have not been home.
Yeah, and I know, I went through with the Genentech Foundation, like we did workshops on the mission statement, right? And so like it is not a little thing. And so I want everyone here to feel good about the mission and the principles and the purpose. And this is an excellent start, I think. And maybe we can sit on it and sit with it, and it can continue to be able
Move it to
at our next meeting, but now that we've seen it, we can all really think about and I think this is actually a really helpful, like Carol, your points about like who will people understand what we're saying is really important. And I think also like we need to be aspirational and what does that mean? And maybe we can all come back
I love it.
next month.
But should we turn in stuff beforehand so we're not like, so we have a chance to see what other
I
people.
think if we can is it possible to do like a Google Doc? Or we can
Yes.
and like people can
As
leave
long as we don't
comments.
use
so-
Google Docs, I cannot use a Google Docs.
Okay.
Yeah,
But if
I
we
can
do
use it
something-
through SharePoint and make it so that everyone can edit it. I think, is that possible, Ingrid, outside organization? And it's
Um,
shareable?
Well, I don't think we can't
Maybe like-
interact with it together because then it becomes kind of like a meeting. So what
Why
people
don't we
can
do-
do is give me their drafts.
Their
And-
edits, yeah.
And then
And we
let-
could
put
put
it, that's,
that,
I like that idea. That's sort of a little old school, I know, but,
could
Oh, thank you, Ingrid.
because we
right,
could
'cause of
post
the,
it, we could post it
we
within
can't
the
be, like-
packet, within the next packet.
Mhm.
So we'll just like share everyone's,
Yeah, but you will share this
Ideas.
latest document.
yeah,
And then we
then
can
work off of that.
work offline.
We should have at least a couple principles though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, don't
Okay.
reply to all, just reply to just reply to me.
Please don't reply all.
Yeah,
Boxes and also like, oopsie, the law.
thank you.
All right.
Okay, so moving on to the shortened San Mateo County resolution template.
Okay, so this is something that we've talked about before. Thank you, Carol, for giving a first pass at the shortened version of getting the language to still shine through, and that we can maybe bring this to a future council meeting for the city council to formally adopt by a resolution.
let
The
me ask a question.
Mhm.
Because every document needs a purpose. What was the purpose when San Mateo County adopted both the long and the short for the moment? Let's just do the short. What was the purpose of it? What was it supposed to be used for? Was it reactionary? Was it supposed to be public?
I don't know if they did both the long and the short. I think. Do you know, Ingrid?
I think they passed along, and this is during
Oh,
the
they
time
passed.
when DEI was very, very, this is pre-election. They passed kind of like a similar resolution, the long version, to solidify like their department's work around DEI.
Okay.
I think they passed it in January, so that was.
The one they passed in
The election
January,
happened, but we didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
I think the one they passed in January, wasn't that the one about like the supporting community, like the vulnerable communities?
Well, I thought this was supposed to be the what like led to the work plan. Was that how you were intending it, Carol?
Mm-hmm.
No, all I was intending it to do is to make it present political climate friendly, to be very fair. Because I do think that there is a sensitivity. It waxes and wanes. There's been, 3 demonstrations out here, in the last 4 weeks or 5 weeks, so I think we should have a document. I believe in it wholeheartedly, but I do think it needed to be less like a stick, poking a stick at a rabid bear, to be honest about it. And so I tried to make it as powerful as possible without using buzzwords. And maybe it's not, but that was my attempt, is to make it powerful and not create danger for the community, frankly, political danger.
Yeah, I mean, it looks kind of like a work plan at the end
Yeah.
with all the matrix of what, yeah, at least the county is endeavoring to do.
Wow, who came up with that?
Not that we have to do any
Yeah.
all these rows, but the council did at the subcommittee meeting with you and Anna kind of
Mhm.
challenge the idea committee to keep them accountable and ways that they might not be taking a close approach and looking at.
Are we giving comments? Because I think we need to be very careful about this. Many current inequities are sustained by historical legacy, structure, system, repeat. Like that is, so this is under the resolution. That is, those are like fighting words for this administration. So we might want to take that out.
I think ironically, that's the phrase that the council members loved.
Okay, well, as long as somebody in Brisbane don't sue them.
Right, no,
That's basically the line that they want to like challenge the idea committee, like, so how are we going to do that particular bullet point? That's at least that's what I heard from like at that meeting with Anna and Alex, the liaison meeting. They got excited with that. They're like,
Oh, they ready to go to battle. Mm.
I mean, a part of it is, I think what was mentioned at that meeting, like the history of not just Brisbane, but many towns. There's,
Yeah.
things that people don't want to really talk about, but are part of the history. And do you have something that you hold where you talk about it and just kind of put it out that this is part of our past, but it's not something that maybe we, stand for now and gonna make efforts to make sure it doesn't happen again, like
Yeah,
acknowledging.
not maybe. Yeah,
We have archives of various things.
Mhm.
City archive room. So
revisit this when the mission statement is complete, or
feel like we need that mission statement to
Mhm.
kind of propel forward
Yeah.
all this other work.
so what are you, Ingrid, what are you talking about? What are we looking at? What document are we looking at? So I'm on the same page as everyone else.
just in general, do
The
you think we can go through this discussion without the establishment of the mission statement?
Oh. So are you hearkening back to the resolution, the short
Yes.
resolution? Is that, I got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
the short resolution.
I don't know. I think you could do them both, but that's just me.
But these two items are gonna stay open.
Yeah, right. They are open. Well, the other one might get closed up next month.
Yeah. Close.
Yeah, it seemed like it was close.
Maybe we can think about in the coming weeks, like what of the matrix
Mhm.
are interesting to look at and maybe have more time to actually work on.
Yeah, because when I look at this, it feels very different from the current remit of the idea committee. And so would the expectation be that like we would
I mean, they had this thing where we would come back in 6 months, or they had it in their template that we would bring back for review within 6 months, the action plan. The matrix basically.
this one that's like adopt governing board resolutions, that matrix?
Yeah,
Page 10? Okay.
we don't have to even have that as part of the
No, I
resolution.
think,
It's just that's what
mhm.
they did.
Yeah, you don't have to add that portion if the committee
do you think,
decides they
Carol?
don't want it.
I think it could be a very interesting way for us to think about our work moving forward. It would
Mhm.
also, without additional rows of like events, it would really change the
Yeah.
product of this committee. Not in necessarily a bad way, but
Mhm.
like it would fundamentally change what the remit is.
Mhm. We don't have to be it further resolved. Put a question mark next to that.
Okay, so what is this box? Because it's like 20 things in here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Like,
I
do we need
know.
this?
Yeah.
Is this what we're like supposed to create the work plan from?
I think it's more like ideas that we could think about for the work plan, but it doesn't have to be any of those.
But who wrote this
This is
table?
the counties.
Oh, this is the count.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. I mean, public reports on progress, like if we have accountability in our.
But like
Name.
community needs assessment, that's probably important.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, like if once we get the mission, if we find out people don't feel respected, don't feel valued, right? Like that's part of then that's the work plan.
But that requires a budget too.
Yeah.
But things like diversified boards and commissions, are we empowered to do that? Let's just say we said, oh yeah, that's what we want to do. It's about halfway down on this
Mhm.
table. I mean, I think I suspect it's beyond the purview of what this committee is supposed to do. This is very sort of local government, I think.
Maybe Jeremy could come back
Yeah.
and help us think through like what's actually
Mhm.
within our scope.
Mhm.
And I think too, I mean, I don't want to downplay the importance or the impact of the events.
Mhm.
When
They're very important.
yeah,
They
because
build community.
I think when I think about the work of this committee, I sort of think of like, what is outward facing? And that's like the events, right? And then there's all this inward facing work, which we haven't done to a large
Mhm.
extent yet.
Mhm.
But that's the sort of like community members might not recognize it, but that is changing their lives in a different way. And then the events and sort of the outward facing work is like how they feel when they engage with the community, but like the inward facing work is the ease with which they can succeed in the community or which they're like inherently able to move forward or like we are removing barriers to their ability to access certain things, stuff like that. And I think that both are really important. And also this is a volunteer committee, so like how do we
And also, Dennis, he brought last time the idea, kind of planting the seeds for us on
Right.
environmental justice.
Yes.
So it could be an item that otherwise things might go off and then we might relate to that.
Yeah, that kind of goes into the last staff report, which is selecting an idea representative for the various city commissions and committees, because there's the broadening out, what idea is involved. It's becoming more of a request I'm hearing from different staff. Like, we really want an idea to be involved in this. I mean, there's the age friendly to the Festival of Lights planning that you guys were both a part of last year. So it just seems like the smart thing to do to identify someone from the idea committee for the various commissions. And should I just move on to the last or do you want to finish talking about
well, I mean,
this?
I guess are we sort of continuing this into old business? We'll return after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we need the mission first, and
Yeah.
then we can figure out
Okay.
Mhm.
downward plan from there.
So maybe everyone can have a little bit of an input and
Yeah.
maybe even versions And then eventually someone final,
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, honestly, my um I don't know how good of a use of time it is for all of us to wordsmith at a meeting. And so if it makes more sense
To
to
do it
like
offline,
to
totally.
do offline
Mhm.
or to just
Mhm.
if given like what we're allowed to do offline, Ingrid, like if we can't be in a document together, if there are like if it's a subcommittee or something, and then and the people that feel the most strongly
Yeah.
about it, and
Yeah.
if everyone signs up and says like I want to spend an hour deep diving on the words of this, that's great. And if like that's not something that you want or can do, then you can
Yeah.
trust
I
the
like that.
committee members to
I trust y'all.
Thanks. I was gonna say, I
Okay.
think that those who do feel strongly about it kind of help tweak it and wordsmith it. And we just get consensus, but yeah.
It's close. It's pretty close. I think.
And again, like I said, it's never going to be perfect for everyone here. Because it means different things to different people and all that, so.
I'm not attached to personally anything. It was just a suggestion, but to me, I want to dream of a better world. And no, I don't live in a pink cloud, but it's if we don't make it to
Right.
envision something better, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
We just have to keep busy with something. I have lots of other dreams.
Right.
Can we make it? Yeah, it's
Some aspiration.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, we can dream towards something to say, yeah, I want to live in this. I want to live in this city. You guys have more
Yeah.
experience on this space, so you can ground it into whatever you feel it makes sense. And of course, Carol has her own points as well. But if we downplay everything, downplay to us.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
We'll work
yeah,
on it.
you decide.
Okay,
New
so
business.
The next step is somebody's gonna send it out with the new version, and then we'll put a subcommittee together. Or we're just gonna put words with ourselves and
Thank
send it
you.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
Why,
think.
why don't we have a date like we sort of do in the corp world, and say by a certain date, maybe it's a week before the next meeting.
Yeah.
Version
Provide
should be
feedback.
go to Ingrid or
Yeah.
Ellen or whatever, because if we leave it open-ended, I'm gonna speak for myself. I won't remember to do it.
Yeah.
okay, we'll assign a date.
Yeah,
Perfect.
just like the way we do it in the, any place else.
Yeah, I need
Yeah.
a deadline.
Okay.
All right, so
Business.
the city has 6 advisory bodies, of which the idea committee is
Oh,
one
we
of
have to
them.
have the
Oh, sorry.
The Diwali request.
Okay. So there was an email that came through requesting a support from the idea committee for an event that they hope to have even more participation in. And so before it was a request for $400 for supporting mostly like the food. We know food brings people together. So they're requesting $600 for this year's event to assist with catering expenses, largely due to rising restaurant prices.
Are they using a local caterer in Brisbane caterer?
Their last 2 years, I believe they used a place in South San Francisco. It's
is there a Brisbane option?
I don't know because they do like Indian like pizzas, samosas, and some other.
Ain't that restaurant on the corner? An Indian restaurant?
Which one?
Reina?
Yeah.
Stefan, it's closed.
Oh,
No, it's Filipino.
well, what is that one near the laundromat?
Oh, I think that's
It used to be an Indian buffet.
It's
Yeah,
no
it's
longer
not.
there.
Oh, it's not?
No.
It's the
It's hot pot now.
or
Yeah, I mean, I go there and get my nails done all the time.
So we do have some budget, right, Ingrid, for this coming year, in addition to before we've been supporting them with our Betsy revenues, which
I think we
carried
were
us.
given $2,000 for fiscal year 25,
25, 26. Yeah.
Can I ask why they're asking us? Shouldn't they be kind of asking the city manager. I don't know anything about local politics, but it seems odd that they should be asking us for money to support their effort. Is that? Just seems weird to me.
In the past, we were funding it based on our sales for the Brisbane
Yeah,
Betsy.
no,
Yeah.
I hear that, but why would they even be
It's-
asking us for
I-
money? I don't know,
They
like I said,
asked like city council. They were
Yeah.
like, you should talk.
oh, I got it, so we got it first, okay,
Pass them up.
okay.
That's
And this
right. Thanks,
Question would
Alex.
be, is there a cap on the amount of funding or support that we should provide? Because last year it was 4, this year it's 6.
Mhm.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot, but I mean, it's only like a $2,000 budget, and I don't think we really mapped out what we plan to do. So
Mhm.
it seems a little,
More than a quarter.
yeah, exactly. Um,
Dude, what's the criteria to give people money?
You say yes.
they ask.
There was,
Maybe that's
I mean,
something to work on.
I think so because last year
Yeah.
didn't we talk about
Right,
like the
we
mini grant
talked about-
program?
mhm.
I don't know where that went.
Yeah,
Maybe
we
we didn't
can
have budget for it.
let people apply. And
Yeah.
Well,
submit
and I
an
think yeah, 'cause I think
application.
that's a good point because some intrepid citizen resident, right, like was like,
Mhm.
oh, I should ask about this, and so there hasn't been. And I don't want this to be sort of like a gatekeeping, but I also wonder like, are there other things that we aren't doing because people don't know that they can?
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But also not.
Seems like we need some rules.
Cultural grant program.
Mission.
Mission. Right? Like, is this something that is build a community, drive a respect? What, right? Like, that's part of your funding mechanism is it helps fulfill the mission.
I mean, Carol brings up a good point where there are times there like there have been requests for like one-time events or one-time projects, and there's different budgets that in them. I'm thinking of city council.
Part of the disconnect we have here is our relationship with city council, because it never would have occurred to me that we would be the person. I know we have money for the stuff that we need to do. Like it's only what, $2,000 or something, but it's copying and things like that. But it never would have occurred to me that we would have purse strings to give to other people. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know. Just
We're
me.
not like a regranting or
Well, I don't know about the
Yeah.
granting part, but if that was the intention, then
Mhm. of the budget.
because we also don't know the overall budget, do we? I mean, I don't
You
know.
said 2,000.
But the overall budget for the town.
Oh, it was on
Another
residential
guideline,
Brisbane,
I don't
like-
know, you know.
Yeah. I think this could probably be covered under. Maybe we should ask the city manager tomorrow, Ingrid, about if it could be coming out of maybe a different like budget or one time. I see it as a one-time annual cost.
Yeah, we
Okay,
can
I
ask.
think maybe- I think maybe we could also thinking about it from like having worked at a nonprofit and you like come back to a funder year over year
Every year.
without us having shared any change to our systems. I think for us to not at least like come in at $400 or like find some other source for them would be. I wouldn't feel great about that because it would be
Yeah.
very strange for us to be like, you know what, we don't know what our systems are anymore. We don't know what our processes are.
Yeah, so maybe we can
it's gonna-
supplement with a different
Yeah.
funding source.
Yeah. And then also I think that would probably be a good work plan
To
item to
if
figure
you
out
got
like
money to
how do
give
we
out.
decide.
Yeah. So is it that are we voting to give them 400?
We do need a first and second to approve some, whatever this is. So yeah. And are we good on 400?
Yeah, I'm good on that, meeting what they had last year. But,
And then maybe if you and Ingrid can see if there's other
Mhm.
options, and if not, when we have some time, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's not till October.
Yeah. So we can right now say yes to 400. You guys can do some research on other 200 source.
Be able to.
Yeah. Okay.
And what was the committee's budget last year?
It's always, I think, just been the bets and sales.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is like a new thing, and so,
We need a
my
finance committee.
perspective is, yeah, to not be so quick
Oversight.
to just,
You know,
yeah, with a budget that, because it's new and we haven't had it before. I mean, really, for all practical intents and purposes, some of that could maybe even go towards like maybe
Survey.
lunch for us to really have like almost a
a
mini
retreat. Yeah.
Talk mission
where it's
statement.
literally just
Yeah.
lunch, but
Yeah.
still, just,
Mhm. Yeah.
Or I was thinking some swag when we're at events, people come up and talk to you if you got swag. And you can be like, you know what, you got to fill out this survey. We're trying to understand what the needs of the Brisbane community are. You can get this, keychain.
We have some bets and things that we can help
Oh, we
with.
do.
Yeah.
it's not swag, but but you're right. Some of that could go toward better swag, just
Mhm.
so it doesn't all have to be like doled
Mhm.
out to
Right.
whoever
Others.
asks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. So can we get a
So-
first for $400?
Okay, I move. Oh, you good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Any nays?
Interesting.
All right. Subcommittees.
Okay. Um, so as I was mentioning, there's been requests to have have a lens on different programs. An example would be in planning, there's a housing element that's adopted every 8 years or so, and there's a program for engaging all segments of the community, especially lower income and special needs households, on housing issues through the plan period. So this happened last year, where the IDEA committee said this seems like something that is within our charge. We're okay right now. The staff person has not had like time to do like the work plan of what the IDEA committee would help with, but that is something that would be forthcoming probably in the fall. So we've just identified on the second page of the staff report, just kind of some projects that would come out of various subcommittees, and including even the youth advisory committee. At the council meeting a couple weeks ago, one of our council members said that the youth advisory committee could really, maybe challenge themselves to work with the IDEA committee, something that they haven't had experience with, having an event to engage not just like youth, but also like adults too, but also focus on youth, because you're never too old to learn. That's what she said. So hopefully tonight there could just be, and events are getting planned for end of year, such as the Festival of Lights, where there is a request to have, again, an IDEA committee member sit in on some of the planning meetings. I know they've already started yesterday with their first one for this year's Festival of Lights. So Parks and Recreation Commission would be some events and also age-friendly initiatives. And Youth Advisory Committee, I mentioned an event to engage more Brisbane residents. Planning Commission, General Plan Policies, Open Space and Ecology Committee / we had a Sierra Point Park and Open Space Subcommittee representative who's no longer on the committee. So just having someone identified for when that subcommittee is ready to meet again. Public Art Advisory Committee, Complete Street Safety Committee. So
they're looking for one person to join in one of these committees.
I mean, I think more so for when Ingrid and I are asked by our colleagues, like, oh, do you have anyone or know of any of your IDEA committee members that would be like interested in like
Is it
joining
a
a meeting.
one-time thing, join the meeting, or is it like consistently
The
advised?
only one that I would say is more consistent would be the age-friendly initiatives. We had an idea committee member who was going to, well, that was when like the task force was meeting like every month, but I think they still check in with each other like every other month. But it's none of these are,
That's the most active. Sure.
Yeah, that's, I'm
yeah,
trying to understand the time commitment.
yeah, right. So that's the most active, like every other month or so for like an hour. Um, yes, right now there's nothing else really on the table right now, but just having, yeah, the identified idea coming in would be great.
So I think that's what I talked to the city manager about, the fact that we talk about philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we should have somebody on these committees. I didn't know how many there were, but that we should have someone come and at least be the embodiment. You won't have a task necessarily, but you would be embodying those things that we talked about
Mhm.
on these committees where there
Mhm.
weren't anyone. But I didn't know how many there were. I mean, and time commitment is something to be considered. But even something like open space
Yeah,
has a connotation for people who are more vulnerable that never get considered about open space stuff. And a bunch of other stuff too,
Mhm.
So I thought it would be a great thing for our committee to do. That we don't have to do things, but we can be those things.
Yes.
So any takers
Do-
in any committees?
I don't know, I'll do the open space one. Only because that's the only one I remember you said.
Mm.
I might consider the street safety committee, because I tell you,
Mhm.
some of
Oh,
these
you
people around
want?
here
Uh-huh.
drive crazy, and I am walking constantly, and I'm like, slow down, slow your roll, cut these trees down. I gotta send you a note, Ingrid. Some of this stuff is overgrown in my way.
How, public art advisory, how, intense is that?
I mean, they meet as a committee every month, like we do, but I
Mhm.
don't know if it's like necessary for an idea
Yeah, for
committee to
advisory.
like
Okay.
go to the meetings,
Yeah.
but just like in case they want
It
like
can't be
input.
a consult.
Yeah, a
Yeah, that's
consult.
what I would like, a consult, not to
Okay.
be like going
So-
to.
No. And they actually have a budget,
Then I
pretty big budget, so
something I don't have to attend every month.
Yeah,
you
That'll
don't.
be more like
Mhm.
is also the concern. for me.
right.
Yeah.
I'll do the planning commission.
Okay.
Oh, look at that.
I hear Alex wants planning, and then
Anyone
What
for
else?
youth advisory committee or parks and recreation?
I'll think the youth advisory.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so Masha has parks and recreation.
Who has
Masha's
Parks and
Masha.
Oh. Wow.
But that's the
What did
part.
what did Maria say?
Yeah.
I
Sure.
took a public art advisory, Ingrid.
All right, that was easy. That was the
Okay.
easiest
So-
item.
Who's doing the planning or maybe
Alex.
agenda planning?
Carol for open space, Maria, public art, Kuwait Street Safety Committee.
Who's doing
I couldn't believe that
Parks and Rec?
the accident that knocked
Masha.
down the
Oh my God.
we walked out to get lunch and we're like, what is all that smoke coming from?
Right?
Yeah.
I was going to the post office like literally right after it happened.
The
It
car
was-
was burning.
yeah, it was crazy. I mean, like the FedEx box saved the post office.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, finally, announcement.
Yeah.
Park and Rec Pride Pool.
Who's doing Park and Rec? For the
Masha.
oh my.
Yeah, I just want to mention that the committee pool is hosting its very first Brisbane Pride pool party on June 13th. It's a Friday from 5 to 7. Music, games, swimming, all ages welcome. So it's their first time doing this and want to make a big splash about it. No pun intended.
Are you saying we should all go and let our hair down a little bit? Sure.
Well, that was
It's
his newsletter, right? I saw it. Wasn't that in the weekly last?
Not yet.
Oh.
There were other pool items in there.
Oh, I saw something about the pool.
Yeah, there's a mermaid and pirate pool
Oh, that's what it was.
on May 31st. Bring out your inner mermaid. And then the swim-a-thon on June 7th. Yeah, lots of things happening with the warmer weather. But
Any member announcement? All right, we are adjourned at 7:20.
thank you, everyone. Bye,
Thank you all.
Ingrid.
Good night.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Bye, Ingrid. Have
Good
fun.
night.
Bye.
What is she doing?
See you next week.
You did miss that.
She's